Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the call. Nice to see you guys. Thank you for being here on time. We're going to get started right away. I'm just going to introduce my business partner. Today, we are doing this together, joint. This is the Forex in Heels weekly Thursday call, mentorship call. So we usually do this with Shiro, but today we're actually in the same location, which is awesome. And we'll try and keep this to 30 minutes. And today, I'll just let her take us through. But you guys know Shiro, I like to really introduce her properly because Shiro is actually a phenomenal business person. For someone who doesn't know who she is, because I can see there's some people here on the call who are here for the first time. Shiro is my business partner, yes, and she comes from the property development background. She was actually had a very senior level job, in the property industry with one of some big companies in Nairobi. And so, she's really done well for herself career-wise. And she's also in our academy. She's become a phenomenal trader. I like to say she's one of the most patient traders ever, And she's very passionate about, just helping people grow. She's a platinum 1,000 leader. For some of you who don't know what that means, don't worry. Just know that she's an amazing leader and she's leading about a team of about 200 Kenyans, which is awesome. So let's get started. Shiro, I just hand it over to you. Take the floor. It's all yours.
Okay, I'm taking the floor literally. So thank you much, Lilo. I love doing this with you every Friday. I mean, I just love working with you. Phenomenal leader. I know when you're next to a master trader, definitely you become a master trader in your own right. So Karibuni, I can see Florence, I can see Zach, I can see Karaoke Lois, I can see Uncle Megwe, I can see Tyrone. My goodness, I just say we want to say thank you for, of course, supporting this call. So today we'll just dive writing into chapter 9 and Think and Grow Rich. And this literally talks about persistence. And it's a very simple chapter, but very, 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 very effective. So persistence is an essential factor in the procedure of transmuting desire into its monetary equivalent. The basis of persistence is power of will. Basically, once you persist in something, you have the power, you have that willpower to do what it is that you're doing. And again, we like to base this book, of course, on our own journeys right now, inside I am and also outside. So again, what this book tells us, or what Napoleon Hill tells us, willpower and desire, when properly combined, makes an irresistible pair. Think about it. When you have the willpower to do something and desire, you'll keep persisting to do that thing. Like now, for example, we are both, we are trading and some of us are also building. So if you persist on a certain strategy, chances are, you become good at it because you have the desire and the willpower to become a good trader. Like now, if Miss Fierce right here next to me, if she did not persist for the last, we've been here for how long?
10 weeks.
No, I mean in the academy.
Or 20 months.
20 months. Can you imagine if Lillian, after the 20th week, she fell out? What would have happened? Would not be having her here. So she persisted over the 20 months. So Lillian, too.
Yeah, yeah, she said a very good point there that, you have to persist and in everything that you do. For me, I think about there's so many times on my journey, and this is a true story, where I wanted to quit. And that feeling of quitting it comes to the best of us, to the best leaders. I can assure you, I remember when I listened to Dr. Kathy Kirkland, and she really inspires me. Dr. Kathy Kirkland, for those who don't know, she's a master educator in our academy. And when she joined, I remember when I was listening to her story, she was telling us that just before she got her breakthrough in trading, okay, because she was introduced by one of our leaders, Jewel Tankard, she literally wanted to quit. In fact, she had called up Jewel Tankard, Chairman Jewel Tankard, and told her that, you know what, I'm done. I've been at this for 2 years or 3 years, I think, was it 4 years or something? She had been losing money in the market, But then what happened? Jewel just told her, you know what, don't give up. Just continue doing what you're doing. I mean, yes, you're losing money. Yes, you're not making progress, but just continue. So she was on the verge of quitting, guys. So why I'm telling you this is because I know for some of us sometimes, even in this business, and not even in business, in life sometimes can be so hard that you go back home and you're just thinking, why am I waking up today? Why can't I just sleep and never wake up? It happens to the best of us, to the most personally developed people. But Dr. K, as soon as she said, okay, fine, let me do this again. Let me tell you guys, that's when she got her breakthrough. We've heard of the stories of all these inventors. I think it was Thomas Edison who invented the light bulb. And he tried, he failed, I think, was it 100 times? I can't remember the exact number, but it was multiple times. And on the final time, he made it. He figured out the light bulb. So persistence is key. And and so that's basically what I would say on that, just agreeing with Shiro. And he also talks about, he says fortune gravitates to the men whose minds have been prepared to attract them, just as water gravitates to the ocean. So it also, again, when you persist and you come back again, you persist, you get a drawdown in your account, you're like, you shake it off, you're like, okay, let me come back, let me get back another $50 account or another $100 account or whatever amount. You come back again, you find that fortune begins to gravitate towards you. And one day, because you've done it so much, because what I always say sometimes is like, the universe tests us. It tests us how resilient or persistent we are. So if you keep on trying, it will just keep on, watching you as you're trying and trying to see how far can I push you? How far can how far will you go before you say you quit? And you find that at a point, hey, it says, okay, you're not quitting, you're still persisting, and then your breakthrough comes. So that's what I get from persistence.
And I would also actually want to add on to something. And of course, the author of the book, Napoleon Hill, actually gives an example. Like, for example, when we are stuck in a nightmare, we have the willpower to get out of that nightmare, right? So we gradually try and get out of it. So you slowly like stretch your fingers, stretch your feet, because you want to get out. But once now you decide, you have the willpower to get out of that nightmare, by default you snap out of it. So basically here what we're being told, again, persistence, start slowly, just start slowly, and then it becomes a habit. And you so badly want what you're persisting that at some point you're like, you know what, it's gradual, but now I've decided I want to do this. And then again, he also mentions about have that one person. Again, he takes us back to the mastermind group. Have that one person or two people in the mastermind group who are going to actually help you develop in that persistence bit. Because once you get that habit of persisting, it cuts across the board. And it's not just in our business as traders or business owner. And I like what Lillian says, even in life, when you persist, you want to do, you want to do something like now, and that's why you have to write down your goals. Like now we keep saying we want to buy houses. Are you persisting to get that house? Do you have that person in your mastermind group who is making you have that habit of, okay, you need to wake up early, do listen to development videos, self-development videos, so that you can attain that goal? Because remember, again, desire, goals, and organized planning are all coming together. And that's why we are told, again, lack of persistence is one of the major failures of success. Actually, that is repeated quite a number of times
throughout the entire book, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah.
And and he also says, just to repeat, persistence is a state of mind, therefore it can be cultivated. Like all states of mind, persistence is based upon definite causes. And some of these causes include definiteness of purpose, which we have talked about throughout this entire series. That is knowing what you want first, and more importantly, taking the step towards that activity and knowing exactly what it is you want. Then, of course, there's the desire, there's the self-reliance, belief in your own ability to carry out the plan. Sometimes when, you may not have that belief in yourself, you may not necessarily believe in yourself, and that's why you don't persist. You probably have put your belief in other people, and sometimes belief in other people is good, but you also need to have belief in yourself, and that's where the self-reliance comes in. And then, of course, there's the definiteness of plans, like organized plans. Like some of us now, we've kind of sat together and said, you know what, how can we make this better for everyone in our community, in the trading community? What can we do? So we've sat down over the last couple of days. We've just been thinking and planning and saying, these are the things that we're going to be doing, and this is the culture that we want to bring into the team. And once we achieve some of these things, then we are able to then come and present an organized plan. Because without an organized plan, if not only us, we won't succeed, but even the people we bring into this business. And of course, accurate knowledge, cooperation, Shiro has mentioned it, willpower. Like you have to have the willpower to want to succeed. You have to be so clear in your mind that this is what you want to do, despite against all odds. Like whatever happens, like today, if you get into an accident, Will you stop trading? God forbid you get into an accident. Will you stop learning how to trade? Will that be the end of your dream? Because then if it's the end of your dream, then it means that that dream to become a trader or a good trader was not necessarily the dream. You know, something, even if it's major or minor, can just come and distract you and completely take you off course. So that's basically it.
Then, of course, thank you very much, Lilian. So now we are going to look at symptoms of lack of persistence. What are the symptoms? You know those symptoms like when you're getting, like you're almost getting a cold, what the symptoms you're supposed to look at. So the next are actually the symptoms that you're lacking persistence. So the first one, of course, is failure to recognize and clearly define what it is that you want. Again, do you have a trading plan? If you're building the business, do you have a plan? You keep saying you want to be 2,000. What are you doing? I mean, to get to that goal, you understand? Then number two, procrastination. That again has been repeated over and over and over again, because we keep saying we want to do something and say, no, you know what, I can do this tomorrow, I can make that phone call tomorrow, I can call that prospect tomorrow, I can learn that strategy tomorrow, I'm going to listen to Dr. K tomorrow. We never get to it. Then again, number three, lack of interest in acquiring specialized knowledge. Again, this is also a major distraction, a major symptom of lack of course, persistence. You know?
Yeah. And then there's also indecision, you know, the habit of, you know, passing the buck on all occasions instead of facing issues squarely. And this happens, you know, sometimes you make a decision. Let me give you a practical example. Let's say we are trading together and then I call out a trade, you know, or someone in the team calls out a trade, you know, and says, oh yeah, by the way, gold looks like it's going to a buy. But then it doesn't go into a buy. Then it starts, now when it doesn't go into a buy and everyone now is worried, you start passing the buck. You know, it's like you're now taking yourself away from the situation. And it happens to us all the time. You know, when things don't go wrong, it's very easy to look for an exit point. Like you're like, okay, me, I'm not involved, I'm out. You know, but then when the thing is, when things go wrong, that's when you come together. That's when you persist with what it is you've committed yourself to doing. That's when you keep on waking up and saying, you know what, it doesn't matter. I blew an account yesterday. I'm going to wake up, I'm going to look for money, I'm going to get in again. You know, I talked to somebody today about the business. They told me, hey, it's a scam, or what you're doing is a scam. It's fine. You go back into the academy, you motivate your mind again, and you come back. That's what persistence is all about. And then the fifth one is the habit of relying on alibis instead of creating definite plans of the solution to the problem. And then there's also self-satisfaction. Like you're just satisfied with where you are, and you're not looking at going beyond. You know, at a point, it happens to me even in the business. I get to pay 2,000 and then I get comfortable, because now let's say you're earning $2,000 a month. You forget that when you came in, you wanted to get to chairman, because now all of a sudden, because you never had that platinum 2,000 income, and now that it's making you comfortable, you realize, oh, it's not so bad. You forget your goal. So sometimes you also get very satisfied with where we are. Yeah, and Shiro, you can take on from point 7.
So number 7 is indifference, usually reflected in one's readiness to compromise on all occasions. You're that pushover. I mean, you're not ready like to meet opposition and fight it. For example, if a trade like goes badly or a prospect does not sign up, it's so like like get into a bad mood like for 2 seconds, then snap out of it. You know, you have to be indifferent and don't compromise. Okay, if somebody says, like for example, I am is a scam, it's okay, that's the opinion. You don't have to say, you know what, I think yes, it's a scam. Then number 8, the habit of blaming others for one's mistake. For example, like now if a Zoom is delayed, at oh my goodness, Lilo is so disorganized. You know, why can't you take up and say, you know what, she could be held up. I mean, her internet could be down. I mean, you can't keep blaming other people. Or even, for example, I'll give a perfect example. The trade signals we are sent for. Then, of course, Lilo gives a stop loss. You decide you're not going to put it. That thing like leaves the continent. You're in Africa, it goes to Asia. Like, my goodness, now Lilo
and it happens.
And it happens like most of the time. Of course, I start blaming Lilo and saying, I'm blaming the academy. This thing is not working. You didn't put the stop loss. You're not properly leveraged. So why are you blaming others? So again, that is again one of the symptoms. Then of course, number 9, weakness of desire due to neglect in the choice of motives that impel action. Again, if you don't have the desire, you don't have the desire to learn a strategy, you don't have the desire to hit chairman 10, you know what happens? You have no motive. So at the end of the day, you're not going to persist because you're thinking, Me, I'm okay with making like $50 a day. Me, I'm good. I'm okay with a platinum 150. There's nothing wrong with being platinum 150. But if we don't keep persisting to the next level, then again, really, there's nothing much we're doing. Number 10, willingness, even eagerness to quit at the first sign of defeat. How many, and we keep saying with below, we started with so many people on this journey of I am, so many. But how many people, the first month, the second month, like, you know what, this thing is not working. Why? Because yes, it's not, I mean, in the business we are in, it's not easy. We'll blow accounts, but are we going to say, you know what, I'm done Forex trading? So, and I like when Uncle Megwe keeps saying it's more difficult than what? It's harder than what? Okay, you leave as opposed to what? You leave Forex, what are you going to do? And there's nothing wrong with employment, right? But right now, please show me a company that is employing. Please show me the hotel that is operational right now. So if you say Forex is hard or it's not working, as compared to what?
Yeah, and he also, you know, when he talks about weakness of desire, there's something he said that caught my eye. He says weak desires end up into weak results. So if you have a weak desire, of course you get weak results. If your desire is, and that's why desire has been a huge word and expression throughout this entire book. Like, again, I find this book very repetitive. Like every time I read it, he keeps on repeating certain things. And like I said in the previous, last week in the previous call, that sometimes when something is being repeated over and over and over, then you know that Napoleon Hill also must have struggled with it, or he had observed that people struggle with some of these things. So if you want your desire, if you want to have real results, he says, put some fire under your desire, you know, so that you burn and you just end up making it come out into a big result. So that's also one thing. And then, of course, he's talked about the habit of neglecting to move on, yeah, or to grasp opportunity when it presents itself. So sometimes there are opportunities. I'll give you a typical example. Maybe there is an opportunity to talk to somebody about the business. But for whatever reason, you know, maybe you find that you're not in the correct environment. Maybe you're in a wedding and you're feeling this is not the right time to talk about the business. But when is it ever the right time to talk about what it is you do? And then that also brings me to the other point. If you're always thinking about the right time to do something, you know, think about it. If this was your company, your own business, not I am, not you're not in anyone's team, but you're in your business, would you be thinking about the correct time to talk to people about your company, or wouldn't you be dishing out your business cards? You know, and that's where we know that for sure your desire is not big enough when it comes to the goals that I am has for you or is offering you. Like, yes, you want to be chairman, yes, you want to be a master trader and so on. But if you're not there yet, then maybe you should come back and self-introspect. And Napoleon really says in this book the way that we should begin to you know, self-introspect as we're reading this book. Go through it and say, how persistent am I really? How organized am I in my persistence? How willing am I to keep you know, and eager to never quit at the first sign of defeat? Yeah. So, and then of course, searching for all the shortcuts to riches. Like, this is a journey, but then you hear somebody saying, oh, by day, come I sell you signals, or come I show you this. Like, we are always looking for shortcuts. It's the same way you join the academy the first time, and then you know, you're told Dr. K is a great educator. You start learning from Dr. K. Then if it's taking you long to make money with Dr. K, you hear Luke Longmire is a great educator. You move to Luke Longmire. But it's taking you too long. You look for another shortcut. You hear Lillian, her trades are awesome. Then you hear, hey, Kendago. Then you're like, I want to be on Kendago's channel. You're forgetting. I mean, I'm not saying it's wrong for us to do these things, but then are we in subconsciously looking for shortcuts? Guys, there are no shortcuts. I mean, we were talking about it today with Shiro and a few other people, and we're saying the way what's his name, Bryce Thompson. If you guys didn't know, he's a chairman 750. He's earning $750,000 right now. He's about 23 years old. Bryce Thompson has been in this company for 4 years. 4 years. I actually had forgotten that he'd been here for so long, because for me, the first time I heard about Bryce Thompson, he was chairman 10. And I have watched him in the 1 year, chairman 10 to 750. So for me, I've been thinking he's a genius. And yes, he's brilliant. He has exemplary personal skills and all that. But he just did, his journey to 750 did not start last year. It started 5 years ago. So I look at myself, and this is for me to encourage you guys on the call right now, especially the members who have just gotten started or have been here for a couple of months. If Bryce has been here for 5 years, my friends, and he's chairman 750, do you think you'll hit chairman 750 before Bryce? It's possible, okay? Because depends on how your desire and your output and your work will be. But if it doesn't happen, do you then go and say, oh, this thing doesn't work? No. You tell yourself, you know what, if Bryce was here for 5 years, then I'm here for 5 months. Oh my God, I have 4 years and how many months? About 9 months to go or 8 months to go. You have to know that there's a journey. And Uncle Migwi, which I'll end on this to go to the next point. Uncle Migwi sent me something today, and he was reading it to us earlier, and I'll just read it to you. And it says, and this is for traders, the number one reason why traders fail is, we say this, we think about it, I want to be a doctor. It takes you 7 years in medical school and in training. A lawyer, I want to be a lawyer. It takes you 4 years, in law school and a bar exam. Then the pilot, I want to be a pilot. It takes a pilot 3 years, flight time, I think it's over, 360 hours or something, and training. And then I want to be an engineer. It takes you 4 years, and then 4 years of training in the field, and then your PE exams, your engineering final exams. How many years? Those are already 8 years plus now the exam. And you can fail that exam after 8 years and never become an engineer. Now, the traders in the house, we are like, I want to be a trader. Starts tomorrow, no experience and no trainer, but they want to be, no training, but they want to be a trader immediately. Okay? So that is why traders fail, because we want immediate gratification. Yeah? So that's what I wanted to say on that point.
Thank you, Lilo. I think the last point on the symptoms of persistence is fear of criticism. I mean, I think this is the major symptom, because failure to create plans and to put them into action because of what people think you do or say. The enemy belongs in the head of the list because it generally exists in one's subconscious. Like, how many people have you told you're doing Forex trading? And for me, I thank God that I'm on this journey with my uncle. Of course, it was not easy for him to say yes, because I think our biggest critics are our family members, and even our family keeps saying it. How many times do we listen to, especially younger people? Like now, me, I don't know if my younger sister, who is 10 years my junior, if there's anything she can tell me. What is she telling me about money? And maybe she has an idea, but we are so afraid of being criticized that if somebody tells you, for example, if you went, for example, and of I mean, to our parents, who of course we respect so much, and we say, Mom and Dad, I want to do Forex. And of course, once they start saying, now, what is this? I took you to school, you must become a doctor or a lawyer. What are you doing Forex trading? Because remember, for them, they also don't know much about online now, depending on, of course, how old your parent is. Like now, for me, I got a lot of resistance because my mom is wondering, what are you talking about Forex? How do you make money online? What is this of? She had never heard of network marketing. So even when I showed her the second part of the business, she was like, are you sure? If I was not in the right mindset, maybe I would have said, you know what, if mom does not think I can do this, why am I going to do it? And again, we are always thinking, most of the time, people think when you're talking about something you're doing and start telling people about it, you're desperate. We are not in the desperate business. And that's why sometimes we find it so hard to keep pursuing prospect, because you're thinking, where am I begging someone to sign up? Or where am I begging somebody to be on a Zoom call? Well, because most of us fear so much of being criticized, because I think also if you're not well personally developed, criticism can actually bring your self-esteem pretty down. So you find your desire goes down, you're thinking, oh my God, nobody wants to listen, am I in the right space? So we are told again, you kind of have to like shut all those people out just by design. Do what you have to do and keep pushing on, because for sure if it is working for you, what makes you think it's not going to work? Simply because maybe an elder person among your friends or your family members, of course, they decide that they don't want to, of course, do this. So basically, I think for me, I think I'm done with, of course, the symptoms of lack of persistence.
And I guess now we'll just move to how to develop persistence. Just quickly, there are 4 of them, according to Napoleon Hill. Some might sound, again, very repetitive, but he says a definite purpose backed by burning desire for its fulfillment. That's the first one. A definite plan expressed in continuous action. So you can have a plan, but if you're not doing it continuously, then that won't work. Then the third one, a mind closed tightly against all negative and discouraging influences. I remember, I don't know who was mentioning this. I don't know if it was Bernard or who we're talking to recently, and he or she was saying the way that as soon as they hear a negative thought, it's done. Actually, no, I've remembered. It was David Imoniti, my biggest mentor. We're watching one of his videos the other day, and he was actually saying that anytime he hears negativity in somebody, it's like it's done. It's completely done. Doesn't matter if you're a family member, you're a friend, and all that. If he's done with you, he'll be like, you know what, we'll operate with you in a certain space, but not in my general everyday space. So that's the next one. Then another way to develop persistence is a friendly alliance with one or more persons who will encourage you to keep on, to follow through. I mean, I have accountability partners in this business, the Shiros, the Uncle Miguis, the Bernards, who always call me every day and tell me, hey, how is your business doing? And I know that time when he's calling me, sometimes I look at that phone and I'm like, today I've not talked to anybody. You know, what am I going to tell him? And sometimes I might not even pick up that phone call. I'm like, I'll talk to you after I've made a phone call so that I can say at least I've talked to one person. So without him, sometimes in as much as I desired for chairman, sometimes I also slack. I'm human. Sometimes I get discouraged because of all of these other personal things. So yeah, so basically, this is basically what will get you to stay on your road of persistence. So those are the 4 things. I hope you noted them down. If not, you can always watch this video again, and you'll get you'll be able to get them again. So that's about it.
I think for me, just to close down on that, is again to emphasize, avoid negative people and a negative environment. Like Uncle Megwe keeps saying, like, why are we watching news? Like, honestly, once you hear about like the COVID cases going up, already that triggers a negative thought. Or when you hear something, or even somebody tells you something negative, what does it do? It automatically brings your mood down. So why are we putting ourselves in that space? So I think for me, that is something we wanted to really emphasize on, because I know getting to a very positive person takes a lot of work. And ladies and gentlemen, those personal development videos that we are sent for on the group, my goodness, personally for me, I have grown so much the past 18 months, simply because I've been plugging the David Imonities, the Matt Trossers, the Jason Browns, and Komegwe himself. I mean, anyone on this call probably has not interacted with him. Look for him. Very positive. Extremely. But you'll find Uncle Mego will be listening to audios in his car, he's reading a book. And anyway, even when we're on IBO trains, do you realize Uncle Mego is always giving us a list of books? I want you to read. Every time, every session, he has a new list. So I exactly don't know how many books he reads in a month. So basically, for me, I think that is the end.
I think I just want to now wrap up with the story of Napoleon Hill. I don't know if you guys, okay, fine. So we've been reading the book Think and Grow Rich. And I don't know if you know the background to Napoleon Hill, like where he's come from and why this book became so pivotal. So I'll just give you a summary. And there's a book he wrote. Actually, somebody wrote a biography about him. It's called A Lifetime of Riches, biography of Napoleon Hill. I'd suggest that you read it because it's really awesome. And then what I'm also saying is also based off his book, The Law of Success. Okay, that's another very, very good book that he's written. So basically, Napoleon Hill had a couple of turning points in his life. First of all, he grew up in a very poverty-stricken, I mean, they were poor, okay? He grew up in Virginia. He was poor. When he was young, okay, he was one of those kids who are just very difficult children. He used to have a gun. You know, those days in the, I guess, the 30s, guns were something normal. So he used to have a gun, and he always used to, I think, play around with it and threaten people with it. He was, you know, in fact, he's described as he was a gun-toting child, meaning that maybe he used to threaten people with the gun or be rude and all that. And he was just about 6 years old. I don't know how my 6-year-old would get a gun, but in that era, that was normal. And he was growing up with his dad, and then his dad divorced and got married to someone else. And his stepmom is actually the one who came up to him and told him, by the way, why don't you, she gifted him with a typewriter. And told him, why don't you begin to learn how to use this machine? And maybe if you do, you'll end up being the most successful person. And guess what? That was what the first turning point for him, because he stopped with his gun ways and he started writing. And I remember at the age of 16, he was already writing to publications, to newspapers. He was sending out articles and things like that. And there's a reason why I'm telling you this story. So it moves on. He says, you know, after completing high school and a year in college, he wrote a letter to an owner of a coal mine, one of the biggest coal mines at that time. and he wrote to apply for a job. But the interesting thing, the way he wrote that letter, was he told the owner, in his letters, like, dear whoever, I'm looking for a job, but then I don't want you to pay me. I want you to, he told them, he proposed that he could change, he could, if he's offered the job, yeah, he will end up paying the owner. He told the owner, please say what the amount of money you'd like to earn. I'll pay you, okay, for hiring me for free. You don't have to pay me. And for those 3 months, just let me work for 3 months for free. For those 3 months, say your number and I'll pay you for as much as you want for those 3 months every single month. And then at the end of it, if you like my work, okay, based on what you have asked to be paid on a monthly that I'm paying you, then at the end of those 3 months, I want you to hire me for that same amount that I'll have been paying you. I mean, who does that, okay? And you can see from a very young age, this guy was very persistent. And guess what? He didn't even have to work for free. The guy was so impressed. He said, you know what? Come and work for me. And Napoleon, if you look at his story, at his biography, he went from job to job to job because of his persistence. Everywhere he went, he was so good. But the interesting thing is, he was still a writer. His goal at the end of the day, he met this guy called Andrew Carnegie, if you guys know about him. And Andrew Carnegie is the one who encouraged him to write about the philosophy of success. And eventually, that is where the book Think and Grow Rich came. But the interesting thing is, Andrew Carnegie told him to write this book. However, he was not going to pay him, okay? And the book took several years to write. He went through a war, the depression. He started a school. The school went down during the war. He started again, you know, he was fired from several jobs. He started businesses. His business partners got jealous of him, tried to kick him out of his businesses. He took over the businesses. There's a time he went bankrupt, you know. As in, he went through so much over a period of, I think, over 30, 40 years. He was still writing this book, Think and Grow Rich, okay? And he was not getting paid a lot of the time. There was a time now he didn't even have an income. But because of his persistence and his nature, he was one of those people who used to advise the presidents, Woodrow Wilson, he advised Roosevelt for free, and he was not being paid, but they liked his demeanor. But guess what? Eventually, he got the rights to write the book. He finished the book. It got published, Think and Grow Rich. And guess what, guys? That book has sold over 6 million copies, okay? And right now, every year, it sells over 1 million copies. Now, the point of this is, look at his persistence. From nothing, from poverty, going through misfortune after misfortune, as in there are like 7 huge instances in his life. It was just one misfortune after another. He would go up, and it kind of reminded me of my life, whereby sometimes I worked so hard, and then you go your career, then you get into a business, you move backwards. I don't know if you guys ever experienced that. Or you come into this business, you get to platinum, whatever, 150, 600, then you roll backwards. And you're still wondering what's happening. But guys, if Napoleon Hill took multiple years, okay, many of you are probably younger than the amount of years he has been trying to write this Think and Grow Rich, then what about us right now? How persistent are we going to be? For me, I can tell you for sure, I'm going to be here until the end. And let me tell you guys, if I'm not an educator and I'm not a chairman 100, by the time I'm done, then I will not stop. That will mean my journey has not ended. And that's what persistent is, guys, about. And yeah, so that's basically it. I really hope that this conversation on persistence, you know, Shiro says I talk a lot, which is true. You know, I do talk a lot, but it's because I'm very passionate, and because I have seen persistence in our lives. I've seen persistence in my life, and I just want to encourage you, especially the new people of this call, people who have just come in and are wondering. You're very excited right now. I can tell you, your excitement one day will stop, because something will happen in this business that will make you feel discouraged. And even it has nothing to do with the business. It just have to do with you. But you have to be persistent, because at the end of the day, we are all headed to chairman. At the end of the day, we are all headed to 6-figure income traders, whereby we are banking $1 million, or you know what, we are traveling all over the world, buying houses. My G-Wagon is still there parked somewhere, you know, as in, guys, this is what we're talking about. And the last thing, and Shiro mentioned it, right now we are 7 people on this call. This is a show of persistence.
Yeah.
When we started, we were not 7. For those who are not here on the first call, we were over 20. I remember we were quite a number on this call. But every week, this is our 10th week.
Yeah.
This is our 10th week, guys. We have persisted for 10 weeks. 7 of you have persisted for 10 weeks. Maybe some people come on the call and they're like, that call, these ladies just sound like some,
they're not yet chairman.
You know, they're not yet chairman. What are they telling us? Let me tell you something. You guys, if you can stay until the end, 52 weeks challenge. How many of you are still on the 52 weeks challenge? Let's be honest, you're not going to answer me right now, but you can answer yourself. Florence, how many are you still on the 52 weeks challenge? Are you still on it, or now you're just trading the way you're trading quietly? You know, it happens, okay? Some people will not get to the 52nd week. Some people will not see $143,000. Okay, not because this industry does not work. Some of us have given ourselves a 90-day challenge. If we are not, and we've just said we must get to 90 days, even if it's dragging ourselves to the finish line. Even if I'm not chairman in 90, I must finish this race. That is the kind of attitude we're encouraging you. And that's why I love this book, Think and Grow Rich. And yeah, so that brings me to the end. I'm done talking. I know I've taken a lot of your time. It's now 6:08, but I want to say thank you guys so much for being here. We really, really appreciate. I know for sure, talking to ourselves here is not easy. But seeing the 7 of you on the call, hallelujah. Asanteni sana, and yeah, see you on our next weekly Forex in Heels edition.
And we may just have a guest speaker. Actually, you know what, guys, just suggest who you'd want to have on this call. And then, of course, we can bring him or her because we need to spice this up, you know?
Yeah. So thank you guys. Have a lovely, lovely evening.